Everyone, this is my fourth flashcard video. So start out with Layer 2 Tunneling Protocol. It's a VPN protocol developed by Cisco. Its main advantage over PPTP is support for frame types and protocols other than PPP and TCP/IP. This protocol uses UDP port 1701. Encryption can be provided by IPsec. Alright, PPP is a point-to-point protocol. It's a dial-up protocol working at Layer 2 data link, used to connect devices remotely to networks, often used to connect to an ISP's routers and out of the internet. PPTP is a point-to-point tunneling protocol. It's a protocol developed by Cisco and Microsoft to support VPNs over PPP and TCP/IP. This protocol uses TCP port 1723. Encryption can be provided by Microsoft point-to-point encryption. Remote access server. A server configured to process remote connections. Historically, this meant dial-up connections. These days, remote connections are more likely to be created via VPN. Remote access policies define how users connect to the server, media, protocol, authentication method, time and day restrictions, and so on, and rights and accessibility of resources over the connection. SSH is a secure shell. It's a remote administration and file copy program that is flexible enough to support VPNs using port forwarding and runs on TCP port 22. Telnet is a terminal emulation software that supports a remote connection to another computer. When you connect, your computer acts as if your keyboard is attached to the remote computer, and you can use the same commands as a local user. Often used for router configuration, communications across this remote connection are not secured. Tunneling. A tunneling or encapsulation protocol wraps up data from one protocol for transfer over a different type of network. For example, PPP can carry TCP/IP data over a dial-up line, enabling a remote computer to communicate with the LAN. VPN is virtual private network. A secure tunneling created between two endpoints connected via an unsecured network, typically the internet. VPNs are typically created using PPTP, L2TP, or IPsec. PPPoE is PPP over the Ethernet. It's a means of creating point-to-point sessions over the Ethernet link, but provides no security for data transmissions. Site-to-site VPN. It's connecting two or more local networks, each of which runs on a VPN gateway or router. Always-on VPN. It's a computer that establishes the VPN whenever an internet connection over the trusted network is detected, using the user's cached credentials to authenticate. Authentication header. A core protocol of IPsec that performs a cryptographic hash on the packet plus a shared secret key known only to the communicating hosts, and adds this HMAC in its header as an integrity check value. ESP is encapsulation security payload. Core protocol of IPsec that provides confidentiality and authentication by encrypting the packet rather than simply calculating an HMAC. Transport mode. A mode of IPsec where the IP header for each packet is not encrypted, just the data or the payload is. Tunnel mode. A mode of IPsec where the whole IP packet, header, and payload is encrypted and a new IP header added. IKE is Internet Key Exchange. It's a protocol that is the part of the IPsec protocol suite that handles authentication and key exchange, referred to as security associations. VPN concentrator. Network hardware or appliance that securely creates VPN connections and increases performance. Telnet. Unsecured terminal emulation software to support a remote connection to another computer uses TCP port 23 by default. Remote desktop protocol. Microsoft's protocol for operating remote connections to Windows machine. This protocol uses TCP port 3389. Application hardening. The basic steps in making an application secure, including configuring access control and permissions on the application data and functions, and to set up a monitoring and maintenance program so that events are logged and the application is patched against software exploits. Attack surface. The degree of exposure a network or piece of software has to an attack. For example, the more ports a server has open or the more features installed under an operating system, the greater the likelihood of an attacker finding a vulnerability. CAN, or a Controlled Area Network, is a serial network designed to allow communication between embedded programmable logic controllers. Default account. These are initially configured accounts on servers and network devices that are possible points of unauthorized access. These accounts should be renamed on Windows machines. On Unix or Linux machines, it's best to leave these accounts unused. Embedded system. A computer system that is designed to perform a specific dedicated function, such as a microcontroller and a medical drip or components in a control system managing a water treatment plant. EMI is electromagnetic interference. Examples of this include fluorescent lights, air conditioning, power cables, all which can corrupt signals. Copper cabling and radio transmissions can be affected by this issue, though cable shielding can be employed in problem areas. EMP is electromagnetic pulse. Kind of see like movies like Ocean's 11 and stuff where they use an EMP, or you see video games like Call of Duty, they use EMP grenades. So electromagnetic pulse. And what it says is it's a high-intensity burst of electromagnetic radiation, such as that produced by a nuclear explosion or electrostatic discharge. It can destroy or disable electronic devices. Full disk encryption. The encryption of all including system files, temporary files, and the page file on a storage device, which can be accomplished via a supported operating system, third-party software, or the controller level by the disk device itself. Used with a strong authentication method, this mitigates against data theft should the device be lost or stolen. ICS is an industrial control system. A network managing embedded devices, computer systems that are designed to perform a specific or dedicated function. MBSA is a Microsoft Baseline Security Analyzer. Software used to determine whether Windows is fully patched and configured securely. OS hardening is operating system hardening, and it's the process of making operating system configuration secure. The exact steps vary greatly depending on the operating system. However, the basic steps are to enable only necessary services and configure access to them. Set up access control on the file system and data directories, install monitoring software to protect against malware and intrusions, and establish a maintenance schedule to ensure the operating system is patched to the secure against software exploits. Patch management. Identifying, testing, and deploying operating system and application updates. Patches are often classified as critical, security critical, recommended, and optional. Performance monitor. A software-based tool or application for viewing CPU, memory, and page file utilization. SCADA is a supervisory control and data acquisition. A type of industrial control system typically deployed to manage large-scale, multiple site devices and equipment spread over geographically large areas. Security template. Settings for services and policy configuration for a server operating in a particular application role. This includes a web server, mail server, file print server, and so on. In Windows, the current configuration can be compared to the baselining using the security configuration analysis tool. Shielding. Most network media leak signals in some extent, with wireless radio being the easiest to intercept, as in like eavesdropping. Shielding can counteract this risk. Twisted pair cabling can be shielded or screened. Whole rooms can be shielded using metal paint or wire mesh, kind of like a Faraday cage. TPM is a Trusted Platform Module. Specification for hardware-based storage of digital certificates, keys, hash passwords, and other user and platform identification information. Essentially, it functions as an embedded smart card. UEFI is a Unified Extensible Firmware Interface, a type of system firmware providing support for 64-bit CPU operation at boot, full GUI and mouse operation at boot, and better boot security. End-of-life system. A system that is no longer supported by its developer or vendor. That's why you want to have software diversity, you know. Updates. Changes to software that are made freely available by the software manufacturer to fix problems in a particular software version, including any security vulnerabilities. These changes can be classified as hotfixes, available only to selected customers and for a limited problem. Patches are generally available, and service packs, installable collections of patches and software improvements. Beaconing. A means for a network node to advertise its presence and establish a link with other nodes. Legitimate software and appliances do this, but is also associated with remote access Trojans, RATs, communicating with the command and control server. BYOD, bring your own device, not bring your own beer. It's a security framework and tools to facilitate use of personally owned devices to access corporate networks and data. ESN, electronic serial number, is a number that uniquely identifies a mobile device similar to a network adapter MAC address. MEAD is a mobile equipment ID. ESNs have been replaced for CDMA-based devices by MEAD, mobile equipment ID. GSM, UMTS, LTE devices are identified by an IMEI, International Mobile Station Equipment Identify. Basically, you look at the back of your Apple phone or inside of the Android phones, and you can see the MEID. Geo-tracking. Identifying the location of a mobile device through GPS, association with access points, or triangulation against cellular base stations. GPS is Global Positioning System. Means of determining a receiver's position on the Earth based on information received from the specific satellites. The receiver must have line of sight to the satellites. MDM is Mobile Device Management. Software suites designed to manage use of smartphones and tablets within an enterprise. Mobile device. Devices such as laptops, smartphones, and tablets that are portable and can often connect to wireless networks. Remote wipe. Software that allows deletion of data and settings on a mobile device to be initiated from a remote server. SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module. A small chip card that identifies the user and phone number of the mobile device via International Mobile Subscriber Identity. This chip also provides a limited amount of local storage for contacts. So, that little SIM card that goes in your phone. SMS, Short Message Service. A system for sending text messages between cell phones. This communication system has been one of the world's most popular communication methods, but is now under some threat from messaging apps. Wireless cellular networks. A network of transmitters or base stations arranged in like a cell-like structure provide mobile communication network coverage and data services. Cabo, not the vacation location, but it's a corporate-owned business only, and it's a mobile deployment model where the device is the property of the company and may only be used for company business. COPE is a corporate-owned, personally enabled, which is a mobile deployment model where the device is the property of the company, but the employee may use it to access personal accounts and for personal use. CYOD is choose your own device. That's a mobile deployment model where the device is the property of the company, but the employee may select the device from a given list of choices and still use it for personal accounts and use. Pretty sweet. Cellular network. A network of managing calls and data access from mobile devices. PAN is a personal area network. An ad hoc local network, usually for establishing connections between mobile devices and peripherals. This is often performed over Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. Rooting. Accessing or allowing access to the root account on a device. This may be using custom firmware or exploiting the vulnerability on the device.